Data usage grows a lot over time. This is a given. So eventually you will start to run out of storage space. So it is important to be able to determine how much storage space is left. We will look at two different Linux commands for this. The first is df, which stands for disk free space. This will give you a good overview of the space utilization on each of the disk or disk partitions on the computer. I'm working in a terminal window on my Linux workstation. I'm going to type in df and press enter. The program lists the different disk spaces and shows how much space is used, how much space is available, and the percentage in use. There are a couple very nice options that we can use with the df command. The first is that you might have noticed that the disk sizes are very long numbers. It is showing the bytes used. We can make this easier if we simply add the -h to the command. Now it puts it in what's called human readable format, so it rounds things to the nearest megabyte or gigabyte. There's another switch that we can use, which is the -T switch. So if I do a df -H now you will see a different column for the type of file system you have. Also, if we use the same file system type, we can actually limit the display to show just that. And in my case, I'm using ext4 for everything. So if I do a df space T H T space ext4 and press enter, now I'm only going to get the disk spaces that are using ext4, and in my case, this is all of the disk space that I'm worried about. And we can see here that we have a slash, which is the root, and then /home, which is a separate disk partition. And if you notice, /home is on SDB1, where the rest of it is all under SDA1. And I'm using 1.5 gig out of the 9.8 gig available on /home. So I'm already using 17% of my space. Now, normally 17% usage is not catastrophic, but we'll work with this. If this was a little bit higher, we could potentially have a problem. If you notice on /root, we're already using 43% of our space. And this, over time, if it continues to grow, could be problematic, and we would have to do something with that. So we now know on each of our disks how much free space we have. Let's say we need to drill down, though, and find where the space is being utilized. There's another command called du, or disk utilization, that will actually give us by subdirectory how much is being stored. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen so that we can start all over with a fresh slate. And I'm going to go ahead and try to figure out what's going on under /home. Now, keep in mind that under my personal home directory, I have full rights, but I don't have the same for other users. So if I'm trying to find this from just simply /home, then I need to actually do this as sudo. So I'm going to type in sudo du/home and press enter. And if you notice, I get a whole listing of all the subdirectories down below /home, and there's a lot of them. And we might want to go ahead then and actually limit how much we're going to be looking at to make this easier to kind of figure things out. Also, notice the numbers are very large, just like they were with df, because it's showing bytes. So I'm going to do a sudo du, and I'm going to do a -h, which is the human readable, just like with df, and then I'm going to do a -d, which is for depth, and I'm going to set that to a 1, and then I'm going to go /home. And now when I press this, it's going to go one directory below where I've set along with the current directory. So we see /home at 1.5 gig, and then we see subdirectories below that with their appropriate sizes. Notice also that /home is showing the total of all of the directories above it in this case. Each directory listing is going to show the total for that directory plus all the directories below it. Now, as we're looking at this, we can see that Paul has 1.2 gigabyte of information in his home directory. So we want to go ahead now and look at Paul's area. So I'm going to go /home/Paul and press enter. And here, now we're going to see all the subdirectories below /home/Paul. And as we look through these, what you can see is that we have 1.2 gigabyte of information under /home/Paul/pictures. Now, I could go ahead and do a couple of things. I could either increase my depth to 2, and now I'm going to show all the subdirectories below pictures. And in this case, there's only 3, so it shows up really nicely on the screen. If there was a lot of them, that might actually get a little bit problematic. And I can look through here. Or the other thing is, I can do /home/Paul/pictures and show just everything at pictures and below. So we can see that basically he's got 3 different subdirectories below pictures by the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, and each one of those has roughly about the same amount of space. And that's where all of the 1.2 gigabyte that Paul is using is being stored under, primarily is under pictures. So evidently he likes his pictures. Now let's go ahead and do a sudo du-h-d1/home again. And as we look through this also, we notice that Santa is using a fair amount, not nearly as much as Paul. We're only 249 megabyte. But let's see where Santa is using this. Is it pictures or is it something else? So if I go ahead and do the same command with a /Santa, then what we see is below Santa, we've got 236 megabyte in music for Santa. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go into the music subdirectory below Santa. And we can see he likes America, and Amy McDonald, and 10cc. So we kind of get a feeling for what kind of music Santa likes to listen to. And a little bit of a breakdown. It's pretty much even for most of these. Looks like he really likes ABBA a lot. He's got a lot of ABBA songs in there. But now we can see that breakdown. Now, another thing that you will notice here is if I go back, let me clear the screen a minute. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the /home and I'm going to select my depth to a 3. And now I get a nice long listing that's going to include several subdirectories down. And let's say I want to go ahead, and right now we've got a lot of directories, and I want to go find which is using the most space. There's another command that we can pipe all this output to called sort, which will then sort the information for us. And so if I go ahead and do the same command, and then I'm going to pipe it into sort, in this case I'm going to do a -n because I know it's numeric. And there's a lot of things that we can do a sort, but we're not going to go into those today because that's not really what this is all about. But I do the sort. Now the thing that we have here, if you notice, we have some where the numbers are big but have a K after it, but they're bigger than the ones with the M after it. Sort does not understand the human readable. So what we have to do is to really get this to work right, I need to take out the -h. And I wanted you to see this because this catches people a lot of times at first, and they'll not quite understand the output and they'll make some bad assumptions. So now when we do this, without the -h and we have just the raw numbers, you can see that it looks like it's very, very sequential, which it is. And we're seeing all of Paul's at the top end, which we know is where all the data is being used. So you can use sort and then find where everything is and go low in the directory and have it scan through everything and then find out where your biggest usages are. In this case, we're on a workstation. We're looking at the home drive of different users on this workstation. On a server, quite often what you're going to end up looking for and finding are things like you might find a runaway log file, or you might have a database that's getting very, very large for some reason. You might not even know it initially, you just know that you're running out of space and you need to find out where. So DF allows you to figure out which disk or disk partition is running out of space. And then DU is going to help you figure out why you're running out of that space. Is it one big thing that's taking it all up, or is it everywhere?